Hello, Jacket fans. Welcome back to Boom and Gloom. I am your host, Anthony, or you may know me as Whaler Jacket in the social media world. And as I always say, I'm Ohio's longest-suffering hockey fan. And before we get into it today, I want to give a quick shout-out to my dad, Bob L., who many in our family call Dudge. And don't ask about the backstory on that one. Anyway, he discovered that I do this podcast thing now, and so I wanted to say hi, since he'll probably hear this at some point. But my dad's my hockey hero. He's the one who I say created a monster. He played hockey when he was younger. He played for the Cross High School, which is a school in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. And then he got me, my brother, and my sister all into hockey in the New Haven area. He coached us, and he even coached one of Connecticut's first all-girl youth hockey teams. So now I've passed on that love of hockey to another generation. My sons all play hockey, and I coach them through their youth hockey years, and my daughter figure skates. And I even work part-time at an ice arena right now, all because of my dad. So you could even say that I wouldn't be here talking about hockey on a podcast if it wasn't for him. So thanks, Dudge. This episode is dedicated to you. But I will say he's a diehard Rangers fan, though. And on this podcast, we, of course, talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets. So let's do that, shall we? I am joined for the second time. For some reason, they were willing to come back by Mark at Mark Carell 2 and Mara at CBJ Fan 5477. Just some other fans who enjoy talking Blue Jackets hockey. So thanks for being with us, guys. You still there?
Sure am. You got it.
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And I wanted to ask, it is roughly 45 degrees-ish here in the Ohio area. What is it up by you, Mara?
It got a bit cold, so we actually went under 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But let me check the current weather right now where I am at. It is 44 degrees, so it is sunny. It is gorgeous out.
Nice.
Perfect
Same
day.
here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's I wanted to start off with what I think is some of the biggest CBJ news right now. And that is that rumors are swirling that there are unconfirmed reports, we'll say, the Jackets will be getting an outdoor game at Ohio Stadium next year. Now, before I get any further, Mark, you live in Columbus, right?
I live in a suburb, yes.
Okay. So I may refer to you kind of out of the three of us as kind of the Columbus expert in this situation. So I have to ask, this may be a stupid question, but is it called Ohio Stadium? I know it's nicknamed the Horseshoe, but is it yes. Ohio Stadium?
It is.
Okay. So I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts? Are you excited about this?
Yes, I'm excited. I definitely am going to do what I can to try to get to the game if it is in fact happening. But I also am a little bit, have a little trepidation because, boy, do we suck. And I don't want to suck on national TV. But
will we suck next year at this time?
I mean, that's a good question. It really is. And we don't know. But, I mean, I just hope that they wheel the cannon out there or bring a bigger one. That'd be fun.
Oh, I think that has to happen. I mean, that's iconic. They need to get that cannon to the stadium. What now again, I'm deferring to you because you're the Columbus guy in this situation. We all know what an OSU football crazy city that is. And that stadium, and I'm estimating here, is like 100,000 capacity. So what do you think, like if you have the finger on the pulse of the city, what do you think the turnout will be?
Oh, man, I don't know. I would hope they can at least get 100,000 in there, only because if the rumors are true that it's going to be like a Ohio State, Michigan, and Columbus Blue Jackets and Detroit Red Wings type game. I think you can get a lot of Red Wing fans to show up too. So I think they could do it. I'd be curious to see how they would do it. I'm interested to know if they would try to put some people because I don't know if you've seen like the other outdoor games, like there's nobody on the field. Like
Right.
telling me like you couldn't like put some seating there to increase more seats and probably sell them for $1,000 a pop, make more money. But
Interesting.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So, Mara, being from Minnesota,
Wisconsin. I'm actually
Oh,
from
you're Wisconsin.
but I live an hour away from St. Paul, so I go to the Twin Cities for everything. So
gotcha.
yes, Wisconsin, Minnesota, that area.
All right. Well, my point still remains. Being from so far away, does an outdoor game for the Blue Jackets get you to make the trip? Like, is it that big of a pull for someone like you to come see the game?
It is. I wanted to go to a game this year because I knew I could get tickets, but we just didn't have a means to like travel and hotel cost, and I'm out of college now, so it was a bit tricky. And then with the 1 week that my dad was able to take time off of work, the games didn't work. It was against Toronto and New Jersey. And after the whole Buffalo Sabres game the other year, I'm like, we're not driving 12 hours just to have another game get postponed for the game to get rescheduled and we can't go. So that's the reason why I didn't go this year. Like, even though the Blue Jackets suck, I would still love to see my first home game. So I would love to have my first home game to be the outdoor game next year, but I just have to. I think I can get tickets. It's just a matter of, do we have enough means to actually travel, drive 12 hours, get a hotel for a few days,
12
and then
hours?
Drive back. Yes.
I didn't realize it was 12 hours. Goodness.
And then Indiana traffic's insane. Chicago traffic is insane. Indianapolis is a mess. So we have to travel through two big cities, and then 2 states technically if you just count Indiana and Wisconsin to just drive through. So it's a long trek, but it's definitely exciting, and I would be very sad if I did not get to go next year.
Yeah, I agree, and I would think that a lot of even casual fans would be brought in for just the sheer spectacle of it, like good or bad, whatever the teams are, the team that they play, wherever they are in the standings. I mean, this is huge. This is a huge event. And so I would try my best to get there. Now I live, I'd say about 90 minutes from the center of Columbus, just north of Dayton. And so that's not a huge deal for me to get there. But, with ticket costs, and gas prices, I don't get to see many Jackets games in person, but that would get me there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've already decided again. After my experience at St. Paul this year, I got to see Fantilli's first NHL goal, but after the Wild fans, I'm never going to be an away fan at a Minnesota Wild game. So now I have to either go to Chicago or Winnipeg if I want to see the Jackets again, or just travel to Columbus itself, to the city itself, for another Blue Jackets game, because it was such a waste of money just with like the total experience. But I did get to see Fantilli's first goal, so I'm very thankful for that. But I understand a lot of Blue Jackets pain about them being really bad, but I'm always grateful whenever I get to see the Jackets play. So I think that's something the fans need to keep in mind when they're around there, and I'm really hoping I get to see a home Columbus Blue Jacket game at some point in my life.
I'm confident you will. I'm confident the passion you show talking about them, I'm confident you will make that happen someday.
You said something like you got to witness history in the time that you got to see the Blue Jackets as an away fan. I did too. My first away game was Rick Nash's unassisted hat trick in Detroit.
Sweet.
No way.
Sure was. And I'm going to be honest with you, not safe for work. I was drunk and remember very little of it. Because, the surrounding fans kept buying us drinks and we're buying ourselves drinks, and I'm just...
Wait, so the surrounding fans were buying you drinks?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's so nice.
Red Wings fans, for all the crap that we give Michigan and stuff like that, Red Wings fans, like, they just get it. And I hate saying that about, anything up in Michigan, but like, we're walking out after the game, we're all excited, and they're like, man, beer in hand, they're like, you guys got us this time. I was like, this is like the only time we'll get you guys, so we're going to take it when we can. And sure enough, that's the same year we made the playoffs and got swept unceremoniously.
Figures. Okay. No, that's awesome. That's the way it should be. And it's like, I don't have any super cool stories like that, but I will say, kind of on the same topic, the playoff game, and I can't remember the year, they played Washington, and it was the first home game in the series. And what made that game so awesome for me and my boys, I wish I got his name. It was another fan. He was sitting by us, and at the time, Mark Letestu was my favorite Blue Jacket, and the dude was just ripping on Letestu the entire time, but in a humorous way. Like, I was not angry at all. I was laughing so hard, and then of course he figured out that I was laughing at him, and so then he would purposely be making all these jokes about Mark Letestu, and it's such a memorable experience, and that just goes to show you how other fans can make or break an experience as well.
They really do. If you really want to know the actual story, it was clearly a season ticket holder behind us, right?
Okay.
He had a huge fancy get up, fancy watch, lower bowl. And there's a reason why my tickets were as cheap as they were for as close to the players' bench, to the Columbus Blue Jackets bench that I was. And he was literally saying, come on, guys, the entire game. It wasn't just like, every 5 minutes, but he was saying, come on, guys, come on, guys. And then he was saying some not so nice words as well. And I'm like, okay, but then he calmed down with the Blue Jackets comments. But this dude was too serious about hockey. He was too obsessed with the Minnesota Wild. And then when the Blue Jackets won in overtime, I was like, yes. And then the dude left as soon as the goal was scored. So I didn't get to see his reaction, but it was very pleasing for the Blue Jackets to come out with that win. So yes, the home fans can either make or break a game, and I really think the Blue Jacket fans, for the most part, from what I've seen online, are actually really great. So I hope I get to experience more Blue Jacket fans. But every single Blue Jacket fan that I met in Minnesota were amazing. Most of them traveled for the game, but they were great. They were great to see.
Cool. And Mark, how many home games do you watch a year, do you think? Like, in person?
Watch or visit?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to any this year, just because we've been on a budget with the way everything else is.
No, I get it. That's the main reason I don't go. I mean, well, yeah, it's a distance too, but the cost is just too much. But yeah, okay. Well, but I think there you have it. So we would all three of us, we would make it a point, though. We would want to see this outdoor game. So it is a spectacle. I think it's fantastic for Columbus. I think it's been too long. I think that Columbus should have got one earlier, but that's just me. But my other worry about this, though, is that I believe they said they were figuring on March 1st, or right around March 1st. Does that make you guys kind of fearful about the weather as well, or am I off base on this?
I can't really comment on Ohio weather, except Ohio and New York weather ruined the one time I was out there in that area. So usually there's still snow, with the exception of this year, there's usually snow in March in Minnesota. So I don't really know about the weather in Ohio.
And
what
happens?
Really.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
It wouldn't deter me at all. I mean, it might be a little bit rainy, but hey, that's what ponchos and umbrellas are for.
Do you think they'd still play in the rain?
Probably not. I think the couple of times that there was some precipitation in like the Winter Classic, they like postponed it to see, like after the weather was supposed to break, so they waited. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be a good idea, but I would still sit there wait through it.
Oh, me too, for that sort of thing. And if there's one team, that would have the bad luck of like 3 days of horrible weather, it's the Jackets.
I completely can attest to that. Oh my gosh, I agree. Blue Jackets can have some really bad luck for weather.
Well, I have one more question for you guys regarding this topic. And it may sound silly, but this is the kind of thing I think about. Okay, I'm a big jersey guy. All right, I love visiting. It's called Aesthetics, and there's another website I like to go to, NHLuniforms.com. And like I love jerseys, and I love thinking about what these teams are going to wear. So I saw some rumors that suggest, again going back, and people are saying it's going to be Jackets versus Red Wings. So I saw some rumors that suggest that we're going to try to tie in to the Ohio State versus Michigan theme. And I don't know how I feel about that one, if that's true. I don't think it'd be wise to turn the Blue Jackets into scarlet and gray. What are your thoughts on that?
Considering the Blue Jackets roster with so many Michigan alumni, I don't think that would be a good idea.
I never thought of that. You're right. Oh my god.
I really think what they should do is do some sort of cannon jersey, since those are always a hit. It's like one of the Blue Jackets' best jersey, apparently, most popular, and that can sell. And if you get a little bit of red, because red is in the Blue Jackets color, just like as an outline or something, and then the Red Wings can stay red. Blue Jackets still navy blue, light powder, baby powder blue, whatever. If they do the cannon, I think that would be the best bet for the most sales.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would work. So, thoughts on that, Mark?
No way.
No way.
No. I mean, they will most likely, yes, bring in the cannon, and they might do it. What they might do is have Blue Jackets in the Ohio script.
Okay.
Or
yep.
Columbus
I like that.
in the script Ohio, something like that. I don't believe they're going to add any gray, but I think if you're going to do some sort of homage to Ohio State, that's the only way I would do it. Maybe have like the cross lettering, like at an angle from like upper right down to lower left or something like that.
Now, are you a big Ohio State fan as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I like you're telling me about the script and stuff, and I'm just like I just barely kind of know what you're talking about, but I get it.
I think I know what you're talking about, because my whole families are just Big Ten fans. Besides hockey, we're Big Ten fans. So in football, we always cheer for the Big Ten. But I kind of get what you're saying with the script. I don't think gray should be in it. I don't think it's a really great color. Silver would work. And I really like the star on some of the Blue Jackets designs, but that's just my personal preference. I just don't think there should be any gray in the uniform.
Nice. Well, time will tell. That's basically all we can say, and we haven't even gotten the official announcement yet. So I think it's kind of, cautious optimism right now. And of course I'll get even more excited when the jersey concepts start coming out. They're probably out already, and I just haven't seen any yet. Before we go on to our next segment, I have to ask you guys, did you guys see the game last night? Did you guys watch any of it?
No, I was watching a movie, and then I turned into the last bit of the Sens Leafs game, because by that point I'm like, you know what? I'll watch some juicy Toronto Maple Leafs game before turning to see the Blue Jackets lose.
What about you, Mark? Did you watch?
I watched a little bit of it. I was going back and forth between that and wrestling. I was watching AEW Collision.
Okay.
And then I saw and I even tweeted about this, like, how are they so bad when it comes to the extra attacker, both defending and having it? They don't score the empty net goals, but they give them up. And then when they have the extra attacker, they can't score, but by golly, does the other team manage to get one or two?
Of course.
Blows my mind. What would our record be if they actually executed on those in the game plays?
I don't know, but I honestly think
Probably in the
someone,
mid-20s, like
I
20th in the league, 19 maybe.
and I think somebody like actually did the stats for that. And I don't know who it was or where I'd find that, but I think somebody actually figured that out, and it was impressive. So yeah, so I didn't get to see the game, so I was just curious about, you know, what you guys saw, what you guys noticed. I try to watch them all, but last night I could not.
It was just frustrating. They had full control. They're getting shots. They're making Tampa Bay move, and then for whatever reason, we're just gonna do a backhand pass off the boards to try to chip it to the point, and just like make the play. Don't like just half-ass it. Make the play, and they didn't. And of course, turned it over and 2-on-1 empty net. It was so
Yeah,
frustrating.
I've noticed in the games that I have been able to watch this year, the D zone has been so horrendous. I'm like, you can't give up. You can't make that sloppy turnover. And I was watching a little bit of the Capitals game today, and they made an astounding turnover that Vancouver could have scored on, but they didn't. That's how you lose hockey games. You have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. And the Blue Jackets are not having any luck right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, they seem allergic to luck. So frustrating. Oh, one more thing about it though. And I just noticed this right before I popped on with you guys here. I guess Chinnikov got injured. You got high sticked. Did you guys did you happen to see that? Because I did not.
I did not see that either at all.
I didn't see the play, but I did see through social media that the last shift he had was sometime like in the second period.
And then
then they said he was out.
Yeah, I said he's not playing next game, so it must have been kind of severe. Well, he's a bright spot.
Bet it went uncalled.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm willing to bet it went uncalled. It was quote unquote undetected.
Par for the course. That's
right.
The life of the Jackets. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to another segment here and check this out. I actually have. Let's see if this works here. I have like a sound, magical sound, and that is last week. At least I think it was last week. My time frame might be messed up with the All-Star break. I'm going to say last week, the CBJ hockey world was put into a frenzy with Gary Bettman's mentioning of Cincinnati as being interested in an NHL expansion team. And I don't know about you both, but I was absolutely floored. Not necessarily by the announcement, but just how crazy it made a good portion of our fan base. Did you see that?
Yes.
Well, my take, I don't see it happening like at all. All right. I think there are way more viable options than Cincy. But, you know, I guess I could be wrong, but I don't think I am here. I don't see Cincinnati as even a possibility. What are your impressions? Mara, we'll start with you. What are your impressions about the Cincinnati announcement? We may have lost Mara.
It's so not going to happen.
Here we go. Not going to happen. Totally agree. What about you, Mark? Is it going to happen?
No way.
All right. If you had to attach a percentage chance to it happening, what would you say?
Negative 100%.
All right. Well, I was going to say something like 0.5, but I like your number better. And I want to run something by you. Okay. I can't remember which podcast it was, but someone had a very interesting take on this. He said, Gary Bettman is a very smart, calculated man. Like everything he says is calculated. So spitting out Cincinnati was not just a meaningless remark. Okay. He says that Bettman mentioned Cincinnati as kind of a dig against Columbus, their ownership, almost like a warning, like saying, hey guys, you're making a lot of bad choices right now. Straighten stuff out or we're going to look at another market close to yours. So what do you think? Could there be any truth to that?
Zero. He mentioned Cincinnati because they legitimately did say, hey, we're interested in expansion. I mean, there are only a few number of cities that can actually support professional teams. Cincinnati is one of them if you look at the Reds, but that's it. And I think what's Bettman going to say? I mean, the Blue Jackets are selling out Nationwide Arena with a crap team.
They are.
They're doing their job when it comes to the hockey-related revenue that all these owners want. Who isn't doing the job? Arizona.
Okay. You know what? It is interesting that you bring that up because I'm gonna kind of go off on a little side tangent here because I wanted to run something by you both just as kind of a outside opinion here. All right. Are either of you Browns fans?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to say something here, and I'm not trying to stir up bad memories, but I'm just trying to make a point. All right. So first of all, I just don't understand why the Coyotes have been given this much time. But why can't the NHL do what the NFL did all those years ago when the Browns moved to Baltimore? Now, I don't know football as well as hockey, but from my understanding, what occurred was the NFL, they allowed the Browns to move with the stipulation that the Browns would get an expansion team in the near future. So if that's the case, why can't the NHL do something like that? Like, say, move the Coyotes to Houston or Salt Lake City with the understanding that if Arizona can get an arena built and get their crap together, they'll be awarded an expansion team. Does that make sense? I mean, am I making too much sense here?
So the city of Cleveland sued the NFL and Art Modell to keep the Cleveland Browns and all of its stats and all of its records and all of its history in Cleveland.
Okay.
As part of that lawsuit, the NFL agreed if they were to expand again, Cleveland would get an expansion team and be known as the Cleveland Browns again.
Oh, it was a lawsuit.
So it was a lawsuit.
Okay.
And that lawsuit is what kept the crew in Columbus. Well, partly. The threat of that rule, that law that was then put in place, where if you receive public funding as a professional franchise, then you have to, if you plan to move or relocate or whatever, you have to provide an opportunity for local people to purchase the team before you can move.
And see, that's where you shine, Mark.
The Modell room. It's the Modell law.
You know what? I've heard of that now. Okay, it makes sense.
I kind of remember that too. I was taking extra sport business classes as well, and that was like a huge thing in my sport government class that we talked about the Browns a lot actually. But I think Arizona, whatever they're doing, it's not working, especially with their arena issues. But if you move the franchise again, that's going to be like if there's a new location, you're going to have a third location with the same stats, same records from the original Winnipeg Jets. So I'm just starting to realize that now it'd be the third location, third different city where that same franchise with the same records. So like you have the Arizona Coyote records and then the original Winnipeg Jets, and then say it is Houston. Houston's going to be the third city that franchise has been in. And I think it's so unstable right now, but I think it's coming to a head where like they just have to move, I think. So it might get confusing in the future and like currently right now, but I think Arizona could support a team if the right decisions were made. And I'm really liking what they're doing right now with who they drafted. I think they came out really great out of the 2023 draft, but that's a whole different story as well. But things are looking up for them, but the arena situation is just too much of a mess.
Yeah, and from what I've read, the NHL Players Association has gotten involved, and in my opinion, I mean, I think they have a legitimate claim. I mean, these are NHL players, and they're playing in a college arena where and I've never been there, so I can't really say for sure, but my impression is that they're not up to NHL caliber locker room and other facilities. So it's just dragging on.
And the worst part is the Coyotes aren't even like the main team in that building. They're just borrowing their facilities. Yeah. So they're like second class. So they don't get the priority. They don't get the dates, so it's all Arizona State, I think, is like kind of like running the show over there. And then apparently the visiting locker room's horrible. So I feel bad for all the visiting players and the location, and they're in the Central Division, but Arizona is going to be like 2 time zones away. I think they don't do daylight savings, so that their time zone is like the same time zone as California in the next week or so. So like, and then you have like 4 or 5 games against the Blackhawks, against the Wild. So I just don't think they're in the right location in the Central Division to even start with. So I think Houston would be the best move.
Nice perspective.
I'm going to say something very controversial. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
If your team leaves your city, all stats, colors, everything should stay with the city just in case.
I love it.
Not that, because let's face it, the Carolina Hurricanes are not the Hartford Whalers.
Thank you.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Thank you.
Quebec Nordiques are in Quebec City. They are not the Colorado Avalanche. They might have kept some of the same colors. But there's a different team. It's a different city, and it was different ownership. That should not transfer.
Didn't the Colorado Rockies move to New Jersey, so they have that weird Colorado connection?
Was it Colorado team? Was it Colorado? Then they moved to Kansas City, and then Kansas City moved to New Jersey. It was something like that.
Yeah, things like that just get so confusing.
Yeah, but Mark, I don't think that's controversial at all. I think that's exactly how I feel.
I think that's how I feel. Like poor Winnipeg Jets. The Coyotes have the original Winnipeg Jets franchise, so now the new Winnipeg Jets are just having to make all their own records and stuff like that. So I think it should just stay with the city as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed Winnipeg chose the Jets again. I was like, that was bad luck the last time. So
yeah, it's confusing for new fans.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that as well. All right. Well, I have one more big segment to talk about here, and I have some other little questions for you too, if you're willing to stick around. But the other big topic I wanted to discuss with you is Boone Jenner. So, a lot of rumors again swirling around that the Jackets are considering, I think maybe considering, or have received calls, I guess, about Boone Jenner. Will he be traded? Should he be traded? Those are the questions. So what do you think? Who wants to start first?
I'll let you go first, Mara. I'm gonna
perfect
for a second.
I think they're seriously going to consider trading him because that's what they've been doing in this continuous rebuilding year after year since 2020. But I don't want to see him go. And the reason...
Let me interrupt for just a sec. Did you say you think they're going to, or just that...
I think they're going to seriously... They're going to seriously consider trading him away.
Gotcha. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I think what the Blue Jackets are going to do is seriously consider trading Boone Jenner away, but if they don't see what they like in return, then they're not going to trade him.
All right.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
And the reason why, I think it's just because of he's just been named captain. I think they would like some veteran stability in the locker room, but we don't know what goes on in the locker room either. So who knows? But I think they should just keep him. He's one of my favorite players. He's actually the reason why my dad's a fan of the Blue Jackets now. So I hope he stays with the Blue Jackets.
Mark, your thoughts?
I don't think they should, per se. If you get an offer that just blows your doors off, then you gotta. You got to do it. Like
I think any trade that could blow.
You're offered 2 first-round picks and a higher end prospect. Because I think who was it that was just traded for like a ransom? You're just like, are you serious? That dude got like that
Monahan, and there was the other one though. Was it Monahan?
Like Jenner's is that he's what you want in the playoffs. He can be a center. He's better on the wing, but if your center gets tossed, he can win a faceoff. He's net front presence. He's a good 200-foot player. That's the kind of guy that you want in the playoffs. So would a playoff team be willing to give up? And he's still under term too. So would they be willing to give up a couple first and that? I think if you get your doors blown off, you take it. I would prefer not, because as Mara stated, you want some veteran leadership and some stability in the locker room. I don't think Werenski's ready to be a captain. He's injured a lot, so he's not there often. Who are you gonna make alternate captain? Goodbranson?
Oh, I saw a spicy take on Twitter, but everyone's been bringing up Adam Fantilli's name in the ring for future captain, maybe having an A. I'm not too sure, but he's pretty young, so I wouldn't want to throw him into the fire right away. But I could potentially see Fantilli wearing an A, wearing a letter at least in the next few years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And there's been pretty young captains in the NHL, so it's not unheard of.
Crosby was a captain, I think, year 4 or 5.
Who was that?
McDavid's.
Sure.
Oh, McDavid.
Taves, Landeskog were pretty young. I think McDavid's been the youngest.
I don't know. I have to say that I am on the fence about trading Jenner, though, because you guys hit the nail right on the head about the veteran presence, and I spoke on my last episode about how I think the Jackets need more of a veteran presence, but when I say veteran presence, I also mean that the veterans have to know how to win. And I'm not sure, Boone Jenner, he does bring that veteran presence, but he hasn't really won much. So is his presence the right veteran presence? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's an interesting road to go down. We can definitely think about that. Mash that out.
Yeah, I don't know. But like you said, I mean, he's such an integral, whatever the word is, part of the Jackets, and he is the captain. He is the leader. So we have done that once before when we traded Foligno. I mean, we have lost the captain and the leader. It has occurred, and my thoughts go to when Boone was out with the injury. When he was out, I don't necessarily think the Jackets played significantly better or significantly worse. So that makes me wonder what the team would be like if they did decide to trade him. I don't know.
I could see the face-off winning percentage go down really fast without him.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Penalty kill would probably take an even bigger hit. I haven't even seen recent numbers, but Boone Jenner, I remember seeing him just get on for the face-off, clear the puck, and he gets off. Someone else covers, but yeah, face-off winning would take a huge hit, and that's like something that Jenner could actually help with coaching Fantilli. It's some of that stuff with like hints, tips, tricks, to get Fantilli better at the face-off dot, because he is going to be a center in the future if he's not all right. I know we already talked about that in the past about Fantilli, but he will be taking those face-offs, and face-offs are one of the hardest things to learn in the NHL as a young guy.
That is an excellent point. I never even thought about that as the significance of the mentorship. That is an excellent point. All right. Any other thoughts about Boone before we move on?
No, I'm good.
No.
Okay. Then, all right. So those are like the three main topics I want to talk about today, guys. But there's a couple other things I want to throw at you. All right. So before we kind of wrap this up, I want to kind of get your thoughts on some of these other things. A lot has been going on in the last couple weeks in Jackets land. So did you see who the new corporate sponsor is?
Isn't it that grief company?
Yes. Oh gosh, I think it's pronounced Greif.
Grief.
I think it's pronounced Greif, but it looks like grief, and it's so on point for the Jackets to name a sponsor, and it's grief. It's just
Goodness grief.
It's almost like the joke is the Jackets would be the type of team to bring on a vacuum company as their sponsor because they suck. Mm-hmm. Or I heard another one, an elevator company because they've been giving the fans the shaft for so many years.
Oh my gosh. But there's so many companies that have their headquarters in Columbus. Like, it's insane to me how many corporations like to have their headquarters in Columbus. Just, I don't know. I have a few ideas why, but there's so many other options, but maybe they're just that bad that companies aren't interested in it, you know? But I think here's a quick shout out. Bath and Body Works has their men's collection. I think they were on the right track with going to several sporting events across the country with a set up shop. And I think there are better companies to partner with than just Greif. So that's my thought on it. Get a different company, Columbus, please.
It's kind of trolling the fans, right?
It seems like it, doesn't it?
At least you got a sense of humor.
I think you have to have a sense of humor if you're a Jackets fan. I think you just have to.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think whoever did the graphics that they were trolling those Pens fans at that Blue Jackets game, that was hilarious. It was on Twitter. I'm like, that is so funny. They need to do more of that in games.
Oh, I must have missed that one. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, it was a Penguins fan they were wearing Pens gear last night during the game with Columbus and Tampa Bay. And people were like, that's kind of like a jersey foul. Why are you wearing the sweater of a team that's not even on the ice?
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually wore a Blue Jackets jersey to a USHL game because I'm like, I always have to wear a jersey at a hockey game, but I have nothing else to wear. So, and the Blue Jackets were actually playing the Sabres and lost, and that guaranteed them a top 3 pick in the draft, I think. And it beat out, I think it was when Chicago was also playing one of their last games. This happened in April. So I can see where fans sometimes wear like the random Toronto Maple Leafs jersey at a hockey game, but why a Pens jersey at a Blue Jackets game that isn't a Pens game? Why?
Well, I want to get Anaheim Ducks jersey, and on the back of it, I want to put "Thanks Verbeek."
THX Verbeek. Oh,
I would love to do that. I mean, and that would mean something to me too, because Verbeek was such a big part of the Hartford Whalers. But and then
picking Carlson.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Well, Carlson's been a bit injury prone, but they haven't played him like the entire season like we've had with Fantilli. So we'll see. We'll see which team ends up being better, faster than the other. I don't know. I think both teams suck. I don't know which one's going to be better soon.
And that's another point. I think it's just so interesting that the top 3 picks from last year's draft were all had significant injuries this year. It's just incredible.
But Bedard's still going to probably win the Calder anyway, because the Blackhawks are I can't even name a Blackhawks player besides all the injured guys. Like, I can't even name a call up. So that's how bleak the Blackhawks are looking right now.
Well, no, Foligno just inked an extension there.
And Jones is going to be around a while, right? I mean, he's got a long contract there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got when did he get traded? Like 3 years ago?
Sounds about right.
So he still has, I think he signed a 7-year deal. So he still has.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we all know the NHL loves Bedard, so I can see
A
that.
little too much, I think.
Yes.
Agreed.
Completely.
But they're making so much money off of him. But I'd like to see them making a lot of money off of Fantilli because he was such
Thank
a
you.
nationwide. I mean, he played at Michigan. He played at American College. You can get so many more NHL fans from those college hockey fans. So I don't know why they're not doing more marketing with Fantilli. Why? Like, I get why Jenner was picked to the All-Star game, but why couldn't Fantilli be picked too? You know, could have done some cool marketing there. Fantilli wasn't injured. I don't think Fantilli was injured until after the All-Star game. So they really missed out on that. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot with only marketing for Bedard, but I mean that's what everyone is obsessed with in the hockey world, I guess. I think it's a little bit too much. I'm sick of it. I want to see Fantilli more on the marketing side of things because they can make so much more money too to get a little rivalry going, I guess. So we'll see.
I think what they're trying to do is they're not trying to do what the NBA did because the NBA, a lot of casuals follow players. And so that player ends up going to a larger market and then basically saturated large markets with good players like LeBron went to Miami and then he went back to Cleveland and he went to LA. And so fans, casuals follow the player, not the team. So if you start marketing players too much, then they start following the player, not the team. And that's not what these owners want. They don't want to be like the NBA. I think they should do that because look how much money the NBA is making. Hand over fist. All this issues with like NHL, like, oh well, we gotta do better job of getting a stronghold and bringing in more fans. Yeah, then show off your damn players.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares what team they play for? Or don't just market the same players in the players that are in the biggest markets. We get McDavid. He's great. He should be in more commercials nationally. Bedard hasn't done a damn thing. And to be honest, neither is Fantilli. They should not be marketed nearly as much as Crosby, McDavid, Ovechkin. I'd never see him on anything, ever.
Yeah,
we used to see him. There was that one funny commercial a few years ago with his wife and Backstrom, which I ate up. But I can see your point there. I think the NHL is going about it the wrong way. I just don't know what the right way should be. But there are pockets of fans eager to watch hockey that the NHL is not reaching into, and so they're missing out all of these other markets and they're not getting those new fans that they need.
Yeah, totally with you on that. All right, I'm gonna ask a question here, and I'll tell you what I think, and then I want you to give me your take on this. All right. So my question is, what do you want to see from the Blue Jackets from now until the end of the season? We got 31 games left. So what's that, like a third of the season? I'm a math teacher. I should know. What do we want? What do we want to see from now? So for me, I would like to see, and it's simple, just steady improvement. That's what I want to see. I want to see improvement in general, but also specifically to things like their power play, the shorthanded situation, the defensive structure that we see. I want to see some steady improvement. What about you? What do you think? We'll go with you, Mark. What do you think? We'll start with you.
I agree with the defensive structure and I'm like, stop turning the puck over. I want to see fewer turnovers. If they only score 2 goals in a game and they turn the puck over once, I would rather see that than have them score 4 goals but give up 7 because they turned the puck over 9 times.
Absolutely. Yeah. I lost my train of thought, so we'll go to you, Mara. I had a thought with that, and I lost it. Go ahead.
I agree with you guys, but I think the season is lost.
That's what I was going to say. Thank you.
The season is lost. I would like to see a really good trade. I want to see them trade a defenseman. I want them to clear up communication with Juracek specifically, but I would like to see the drama gone. I don't want any more media leaks about he said, she said type of situation. And I think this could be very well be Yarmo's last trade deadline. So I would like to see him go out with a bang, but I would like a surprise. I think Yarmo has a lot of work to do between now and the trade deadline. And I think he could turn this team around if he makes the right decisions. I would like to see a defenseman gone. That's my take on that.
Yeah, I agree, and I would actually like to see Provorov. I know I see him like he was supposed to be a stopgap for when Matejchuk comes in, but he's got, I think, 1 year left on his deal. I think now's a good time. And things haven't exactly worked out the way we thought they would, or the Jackets front office thought they would. So
He needs to go.
Let's move on. Yes.
I was about to say, who you guys want to see traded? Because, I mean, with as bad as this defensive core has been, who the heck is worth anything?
Andrew Peak. Well, I don't think he's worth anything, but I think he just needs to go. I think they need to draft better. Well, I think they had a really good draft last year, but that was like a given because it was a good draft. But I think they could really draft really well this year if they make the right moves with extra picks, getting rid of Peak, getting rid of Provorov. I can see, who was it? Boquist might actually be worth something, but he's always injured, so who knows? I mean, with the salary cap going up next year too, if the Blue Jackets can really get things going, I can see them keeping Severson at least. Obviously, Werenski's saying Juracek is untouchable no matter what the media says. So those are my three untouchables. It drives me insane. Yarmo needs to keep things needs to be more like Steve Yzerman and keep things in the room, communicate better. I think what I would like to see for next year is better communication from coaching, from front office to the players, clear expectations. Don't say one thing and then go in the other direction. I want something more steady next year because this is like crumbling concrete. This is like quicksand. We're just sinking worse if we keep going in the same direction.
I'm going to give Yarmo a little bit of a pass here as far as Juracek goes, because he's absolutely right. If he's not quite ready for the NHL, but having him up here just sitting in the press box instead of getting meaningful minutes in Cleveland, is
stupid if you ask me.
Right. So I think he did the right move as far as Juracek goes, because I mean Cleveland is still, I think I said this last time, they are killing it. Mm-hmm. They're a really good team, and I mean, I know it didn't necessarily translate to the NHL, really. But look at the Calder run that when the Monsters made in 2016, a lot of those players did make an impact in Columbus when they actually got here. Why? Because of that experience.
Yeah, and I want to go back. I just want to touch on Peak for just a second. So. I agree. I would love to move Peak. I'm not saying he's a horrible player, but I think it would be wise for the Jackets to clear up some roster space and trade him. So here's my hope: he goes to Florida, because number one, he grew up there, and then number two, the general manager of the Florida Panthers is Zito, who came from the Jackets. So I'm hoping that there's some kind of connection there, that Yarmo can swing a deal for him. Just my hope. All right. Any other thoughts before I hit you with my final question?
Back on Pete real quick.
Go ahead.
I never understood the hype that he got. I know there are some former people who used to work for The Athletic who absolutely loved Peak. Every time they were on a podcast, they were talking about how much they love Peak, and I never understood it. I don't care what the advanced stats say. I'm watching him play, and I don't see the big deal. I'm not saying he's terrible. He's an NHL player. But to me, he's, seventh or eighth D-man on a decent team. Not in the top six.
I'm a huge stat nerd, huge analytic nerd, but I watch him and I'm like, why is he on the top pairing with Wierenski? That I'm like, I was like, why would you trade this other player and not Peak? Like, just I think Peak's time is up in Columbus. I can see a trade with Florida potentially happen. So let's hope something happens with the defense at the trade deadline.
That might be the only team that they could send him to be fair, because if every other team is seeing what we're seeing, he has no value.
That's a good way to put it. Well, and I guess there's always the hope that, some team will be like, well, we can mold him to what he should be. He's playing the way he's playing because he's on the Blue Jackets. If we get him, we can mold him. So I guess that's a hope we can have.
A good coach team. So one of the better teams in the league who can say, like, yeah, we can fit him right in with our system. He's just not playing in the right system in Columbus. I can see that happening too.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to call that being Whalerized, because as a Whaler fan, it was like when a player got traded from the Whalers, they took off. Like their stats jumped. They started playing much better hockey, so they were Whalerized. Okay. Ready for the final question?
Yes.
Okay. This is just an opinion question, right? So I'm going to tell you my opinion, and then I want you guys, I want to pretend that we're voting members, however the NHL votes on rules, okay? We're voting members, and I want to see how you would vote on this. This is just my idea here. I am 47. I've been watching NHL hockey for a long, long time. So I began watching at a time when the home teams wore white for NHL games. Mm-hmm. So that has just always seemed natural to me. To this day, dark jerseys